This is Marquivus Furious Nias, and you're listening to Deeper Than Music Radio.
Deeper than music. The core of you, the fans, the truth is deeper than music. Deeper than music. Simply the truth is the latest, the newest. Deeper than music. Deeper than music. The core of you, the fans, the truth is deeper than music. Deeper than music. Simply the truth is the latest, the newest. Deeper than music. Deeper than music.
What up, what up, what up? This is your man, Furious Marquivus, either or, here on this beautiful Tuesday night, actually. And today we got a very special guest in the building. I like to say great musicians, they emote, they also speak to a cause, and normally they root for the underdogs, and they speak about what they see in the world and what's wrong in the world. And today we have Vegas Top 100 Man of the Year and also recording artist Jason Rylan is here in the building here on Deeper Than Music Radio. How you doing today, Jason?
Good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so thank you for being on the show. I love it when we have musicians that stand up for a cause and that also speak, to certain things. Right now, there's a lot going on in the world, and one of your songs that is getting a lot of press is your song "Strong," which you wrote about the Vegas shooting. And so I take it you're based in Vegas, correct?
Yeah, I live in Vegas. I'm originally from Southern California, but I've been in Vegas off and on for over 23 years. And moved out here in '93 with my parents. And it's home. And
Wow.
yeah.
So my first question is for the listeners: who is Jason Rylan, and how would you describe your sound?
I would definitely, it's kind of odd because I've had so many music promoters and radio stations that have been, you're all over the place. You're eclectic. You do some elements of rock, EDM, electronica, house, dance. I strive to make every song unique and every song positive, some sort of positive messaging in it. And, so I would say, if I had to categorize the music, I would say it's electronica with elements of pop and EDM. As far as who is Jason Rylan, definitely somebody that tries to pay attention to the world. And I've had my own struggles and strifes. And I've been there and know what it's like. And so anything that I can kind of do through music to lift other people up, I think is our job as, musicians and singer-songwriters.
You know what? And I'm glad you say that, because I feel that, there's a lot going on in our world. And, there's very few artists that speak to what's going on. And it's good that that you speak, so I could tell that you draw your music from your own experience, and I definitely applaud you for that. Did you know, when did you know that you wanted to be a musician? Like, what gravitated you to music and being a recording artist?
I think, like a lot of people, I started when I was really young as a kid. I was experimenting with keyboards and guitar. I grew up in a household where I had 5 uncles that all played guitar along with my dad, and they would have little garage bands and would perform out at clubs and things like that. So I had always been around music. It was always, when having friends over from school and you've got PAs and amplifiers and guitars, they're like, wow, and I grew up with that. And I was always kind of a writer at the same time, kind of a dreamer. And so I think, though, when I got serious about it was back in 2003. I lost my father.
Oh, wow.
And very sudden, just a heart attack out of nowhere right before his 49th birthday. And I decided I wanted to record a song for him. It started with just recording one song, even though I'd always been dabbling with music. And so I recorded Falter and released it on, and then all of a sudden Falter, I decided I want to do a whole album and do it commercially. And so that's when I released my first album, Walk Away. And then from there, just kind of keep going with more music and new directions and new experimentation. And so now I'm kind of working on my fourth
Oh,
album.
wow. So can you give us a history of your catalog? So you said Falter led to your first album.
Yeah, so my first album, the first single that I released was Go Go Boys. It was an LGBT song. I partnered up with Sony Digital Music, and there was remixes, and I went out to some of the clubs. And so that was my first single. And then I released my first album, Walk Away, in 2006. Then I followed that up in 2010 with an album called 2012. And then followed it up in 2015 with The Charm, which The Charm I really, really liked. It was the concept behind it was each of the songs was going to be unique and almost like a charm hanging from a bracelet.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it was kind of a unique kind of thought behind it. And one of the songs that got the most press and the most reviews, positive reviews, was Help Is on the Way. And it was another song that I had written that was kind of inspired by, community coming together during hard times, things like hurricanes and catastrophes and all these things that are going on in the world. Yet people can take the time, they donate their time, their food, money, shelter, and they come together to help all these other people that are in need. And I find that truly inspiring. And so that's where Help Is on the Way came from. And then, and followed up with this latest, which is Strong. And Strong came about with shortly before the Las Vegas shooting. My cousin was killed in a wreck.
Wow.
There was a 17-year-old kid going 95 miles an hour, stole his parents' car, and so she was kind of like a little sister growing up, and the family, it was definitely devastating. She'll never see her two daughters grow up or have graduate high school, turn 16, get married. Well, shortly after that, 10/1 happened here in Vegas. And so all the kind of grieving emotions that I was feeling, I was already kind of working on a song,
Yeah.
at that time. So Vegas came together so strong, and we were all just stunned by the shooting, and a lot of the town was emotional. We were all glued to our television. We were worried about our friends and our family and our coworkers. And shortly afterwards, Vegas became Vegas Strong. It was on every billboard. You would see, mobile billboards, Vegas Strong, and people were coming together, donating blood, bringing water to shelters, food. They were out at the hospitals, doing whatever they could to try to help the victims of this. And so that's when I decided, I made some changes to the song, and I decided I was going to try to capture some of that and memorialize it as a tribute. And that's where Strong came from.
And that's pretty cool. So you were saying before everything happened, you were in the midst of working on the song, so it hadn't come out. But then after Vegas, that's when you changed up the song to speak to what had happened, pretty much.
Yeah, I was kind of channeling the emotions through what I was experiencing, but then made some changes because I was like, it's more than just me. It's more than just me and my loss and my cousin or my family's loss. We're talking about something that, an event that affected the entire world. I mean, Vegas is like a diamond in the desert.
Yeah.
And when this happened, there was my friends in Iran and some friends in UK. They were like, oh my God, in Canada, they were like, are you okay? And because I wasn't there. But that news went around the world, and it shook the world. And it's definitely something that was very devastating, and there was a lot of turmoil, but at the same time, there was a unity and a strength and a solidarity that came about.
Wow. So actually, since we talked about this song, and I mean, this song is so powerful, I actually have it queued up, and you basically gave us the story behind the music, which makes it that much more greater. So right now, we're going to go ahead and play your song Strong here on Deeper Than Music Radio.
Oh, thank you so much.
Hi, this is Jason Rylan. You're listening to Deeper Than the Music Radio.
It's closer to home when it's someone you know, someone you love, someone you've loved. When words can't explain, deep in the soul, time stands still and waits like an emptiness that aches. Heartbroken bleeds and breaks. Through weakness comes change, and the selfless opportunity to be strong. To be strong. Oh, to be strong. To be strong. I feel alone and out of hope, but it all fades away like a memory. I let it go when all I wanna do is just hold on. And I know that deep inside that I am strong. Comes change, and the selfless opportunity to be strong. To be strong. Oh, to be strong. To be strong. We are strong with a light that just shines on. Let your truth just set you free. We are strong. Let the light that just shines on. Let your truth just set you free.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Jason Rylan, Strong, dedicated to the survivors and to Vegas overcoming a tragic time. So it seems that you draw inspiration from tough times and situations. So I'd imagine that music is an outlet for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, I mean, a lot of people have struggled through some hard times, and myself included. And, I've learned to channel that through music and try to do something positive and healing. And I know that music for me has been, a healing experience. So I definitely think that people are touched by songs and, changed by songs. And it's something that I enjoy doing.
Yeah, because you definitely have a gift, and like I said, music is the universal language, and it helps us. It kind of like your story with Strong kind of reminds me of, actually, it's the anniversary of 9/11. I served in the military and actually was a part of Operation Enduring Freedom, and I'm a huge fan of Enya. There was an Enya song, and I can't remember the song. It came out prior to 9/11. She had I think her album A Day Without Rain came out, and there was a song on that album. It immediately became the song for healing during 9/11. I wish I remember the song off of my head, top of my head, but I can't remember. I'm sorry, listeners, but there's an Enya song on her album A Day Without Rain, and that reminds me of your song Strong. And One of my other artists said that music is medicine, and you speak to that. A question I have is like, being an artist, what have you found in your musical journey? What has been your biggest challenge?
I think my biggest, well, I've got a couple. Yeah, music industry is definitely full of challenges and obstacles. I think one of my biggest challenges is that I'm not, I cross genres. So as mentioned earlier, when I'm dealing with music promoters, radio, things like that, they're like, is he rock? Is he rap? Is he EDM? Is he house? What is he? Because I mix so many different things. And I like to think that I'm just a guy that likes to write songs, and I don't really like to be, and I like them to be unique. So I don't really want to be pigeonholed into like one particular style. I like to experiment and kind of push boundaries a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's definitely an obstacle because when you're a promoter, you're like, oh, I've got this rap artist or I've got this hip hop artist, and you know that you can push them to that genre of fans or listeners and have a better shot at reaching people. Yeah. So that's definitely an obstacle. I think another obstacle has always been all of my albums and songs have been self-produced. So in addition to working, I work in the entertainment industry in Las Vegas as well. So in addition to working, I'm also funding and doing the whole 9 yards with the co-producer, booking studio sessions, working on instrumentation together with Talbot, bringing in, backup singers and backup vocalists, doing my own promoting, distribution, copywriting, the whole 9 yards. So all of that has been self-funded. And, so that gets a little bit difficult too, because you're trying to budget your own life in addition to your own business. I'm not backed by like a major label or anything like that. So that's been an obstacle. The other obstacle is because I have, a somewhat demanding, and I love my job. I love my regular job as well, but it can be a little bit demanding at times, as far as schedule wise. So I can't just go out and go on tour, and even performing out live, to gather up a live band or even performing just with dancers can sometimes be a little bit of a challenge because it's going in and rehearsing and live is a totally different animal, as you know, than going into the studio over time and recording and laying down some tracks. So I would say those have been some definite obstacles in my court.
but it speaks to the dedication of your craft. I like to say some artists believe that all you have to have is talent. Talent is only about 40 to 50% of that. There has to be drive, and you have to promote yourself. It's like they say you're discovered, but in order to be discovered, you have to be out there. And I'm pretty sure it's rewarding for you as well. I mean, here you are creating your own movement. People are receptive to your music, and it gives you control, and every aspect of your craft. So. And you're, like you said, you're right there in Vegas. And by what you're saying is, how to put on a show. You're like, I got to get these dancers. We got to, so.
Yeah, it could be a little bit challenging, and as far as the dedication, that's where, even with Strong and Help Is on the Way and I found myself more and more dedicated to music over the years because I do see the reaction that I get from people, and I get the, when I was on the phone with My Vegas after they heard Strong and we were talking about the cover, the lady over the phone, her son was at 10-1 and his daughter, or her son's girlfriend was shot. And so the song really moved the entire office over at My Vegas Magazine. And when you hear that and they're like, thank you, and this is, you really nailed it and you really caught on to something, and you see their expression and that it had lifted them in some way, I think that makes it worth more than, some record deal the record deal, would be nice, or major label. From what I've always been told, though, is that, if you promote yourself right, by the time a record label would come to you, you won't need them.
Yeah, because you're already making the money. And I've always read that with record labels, they're not buying your talent, they're buying your audience. So like you said, by that time, and then another artist, a rap artist, I like his mantra. He said, don't chase the light, become the light, so then they'll chase you. So by that time, you already have the negotiating power and you already know the business. So you can kind of like, that deal's cool, but, you know.
I like that, though. I really like that.
Yeah. So you got another song that I love the title. And the saying went viral like 3 or 4 years ago. Ain't nobody got time for that. I got it queued up. Can you give us the story behind that song?
Yeah, so that song it's on the Charm, and ain't nobody got time for that. You know, we all know of, and actually, sweet Sugar Brown or Sweet Brown.
Yeah, Sweet Brown. Yeah.
Sweet Brown. You know, and I hadn't heard of her, but I kept hearing the saying of "Ain't nobody got time for that," and the Charm started becoming, like I said, little songs were like little bracelets, and I wanted to do it, or little charms on a bracelet. And I wanted to do common sayings, things that people said, like, nobody got time for that. I'm just saying, you know, help is on the way. So it all became these common catchphrase songs. So Ain't Nobody, I'd actually contacted Sweet Brown to see about having her as an intro on the track. And her camp was interested in it. And we had, I thought, arrived to a deal for, you know, royalties, and, you know, paying out a little something for the song.
Yeah.
And then it kind of fizzled from there, and I was like, well, I'm gonna release it anyway. But, you know, what I decided for Ain't Nobody Got Time for that is all the things, all the BS drama that you go through with your daily life, all the things that you just don't have time for, you know, that's what I put into that song. It was like, you know, no time for, geez, I'm even trying to think of the lyrics right now. you know, no time for poor judgment. You know, no time for things, you know, like addiction and things that are not serving somebody's best interest. And that's what I decided I was going with that song.
Okay, so here we go. Jason Rylan, Ain't Nobody Got Time for That here on Deeper Than Music Radio.
What up, what up? This is Matt James, all the way from Canada. How's she going, eh? And you're listening to Furious on Deeper Than Music.
Ain't nobody
nobody got no time for that. Come on, Sweet Brown. You didn't want to. She should have. She would have fit perfectly on that song, but that's her miss. No, that's a good song. And so you produce your own music as well, and that's pretty impressive because you could tell the music very eclectic and very different. So who are your influences?
Wow, it's so weird because it's changed a lot over time. I mean, in junior high school, I was listening to Guns N' Roses, Van Halen, Def Leppard, all the bands like Poison but overall, but then also, growing up, I was a huge Janet Jackson fan, and I've actually got two cats. One is Janet, and the other one's Jackson. Yeah, they're like black and white tuxedo cats. So huge Janet fan. Madonna has always been an influence. She tends to reinvent herself. She does different sounds. She's bold, and not afraid of like experimenting with like new styles. And she kind of crosses genres.
Yeah.
So I would say, that's definitely something that has inspired me, musically. Alanis Morissette is another one where Alanis, her songs are so positive, and one of the songs I absolutely love by Alanis is "You Owe Me Nothing in Return." It's like, and that for me, like as an artist, is we do all this work behind the scenes of writing, recording, this and that, and people may latch onto it or not, and I don't know. I just that particular song is so selfless, or at least it portrays that, and I think that that's a really good song.
Yeah, you brought up something. One thing is that, a song is only 3 minutes long, but as you know, as a songwriter and a producer, the sound has to be right, the melody has to be right, the lyrics have to be right, and sometimes as an artist, you may feel like that in that 3 minutes, we have to, we grab you and just all the stuff that's done behind the scenes for that song. That what you just said reminded me of that.
Yeah. It's almost like, I went to college for film and film production, and you can spend a half day rigging a set, for, a 30-second spot in a movie or a commercial, and it's just amazing the amount of time that goes into these things. And a lot of people, they just hear the 3 minutes and, that's cool,
Yeah. And I wanted to bring up the fact that you also speak to, you said the LGBT community, and you speak hope to people, and which is very important, especially now, especially in these divided times. Because there's a lot going on in this country, and I feel like it seems like different groups, different ethnic groups, different genders. There's a lot of division, and and you already spoke to like you talk based off of experience. How does that make you feel? Because I know I've also read that a lot of people are very inspired by what you do, and you're bringing light in a world or country right now where there's darkness. Was this brought on, like the music to encourage people, was that brought on with your experiences of what you experienced?
Yeah, I think part of it is what I experienced, and what I experienced was that even though there was a lot of division going on, when we look out and look at things like what happened here in Vegas, and you see all of the dividing lines separate. There was no color issues. There was no race issues. There was no LGBT. It was people coming together, to lift other people up and to help in a trying time. And, I think and that's one of the things that inspired me to write the song, because I was like, if we had more of that, where people are just people, and, we do what we can and for each other, and get rid of all of the dividing lines. Look at how much stronger we are with that.
Exactly. And that's one of the beautiful things of what you do. Music is the universal language. It brings people together. I've always loved like when Michael Jackson was alive, this man goes to Russia or goes to a different country, and everybody's jamming, and that's
Yeah.
what, and like that's what you said. That's what music does is it bridges the gap, and I definitely applaud you for like your music is very inspirational. You take what's going on and you make, like with the song "Strong," you took something and you made it positive. You made it a united front. Another one of the songs that we have right now is "Stand By Me," that you that's queued up. That's one of your songs. Can you give us the story behind that?
Yeah, it's interesting on that one as well. So Stand By Me, I had actually started like 20, 25 years ago, before I even was dabbling in, before I decided to do commercial music. I was experimenting with like remixes. So, I had like a little acapella that I had found, and I started, I was like, it'd be kind of cool to do it a little bit of a break beat. And so I had started on it and then put it aside and shelved it. And then all of a sudden after Strong, I decided, I want to cover this myself. And so part of it is number one, it's a very famous song that has been done by so many different, talented artists. But I wanted to take my own spin on it. And in the beginning, it's almost like a needle's being dropped on the record. And I wanted, in addition to Strong, and I paired it up with Strong as a single. So if people go on and they buy an actual CD, they would get Strong and Stand By Me. But I think as an artist, you want people to stand by you. You want your fans to stand by you, and you want your city to stand by you. So that's when I kind of decided, hey, I want to cover this myself, and I want to put it out there with Strong because I think they complement each other well.
Okay, so here we go with so this is a remix of Stand By Me, correct?
Yeah, remake. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Jason's Rylan remix of Stand By Me here on Deeper Than Music Radio.
When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. Oh, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. Upon should tumble and fall, or the mountain should crumble to the sea. I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear, just as long as you stand by me. Stand by me, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. Stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me.
featuring Rylan, Stand By Me. You made that song your own. That's definitely I like it. It's like a modern twist to it. And you produced this, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
And you'd be the go-to guy to do remixes. I see remixes in your future. That was definitely.
Thank you.
I like how you put a modern twist to a well-known older song. That was definitely entertaining. So, what has been your most rewarding moment in your career as an artist?
Oh wow! I think when I saw my first 4 or 5 star review on "Help Is on the Way," because like "Walk Away" and 2012, they had some decent reviews and stuff. But I think because with "The Charm" and "Help Is on the Way," it was more. I think I started becoming more refined, and then I'd say also when I would get just random emails or messages from people, wow, loved your music. I found it so inspiring, things like that. Knowing that I touched people in other cities and other countries, I think that was definitely the shining moment, or has been so far, or moments, I should say.
Okay, so when people acknowledge and you strike a chord with people, that's your most rewarding moment, and that's priceless too. I think it's how you, or like Maya Angelou said, people don't remember what you said; they remember how you made them feel. So yeah, that's priceless, and that lasts a lifetime too. I must imagine it must have been a very proud moment when you were at the magazine and they heard "Strong" and they were like, "Thank you." That song struck a chord. What would you give? What would be your advice to somebody that listens to your music and gets inspired, or somebody that looks up to you and wants to be in your shoes, wants to be a musician? What advice would you give them?
I would say, make goals, and things that are achievable. Nothing happens overnight. I've been working on music for 23, 30 years, something like that. And if you take into account even before I started with commercial music, it was probably even as a kid, But one thing is that even with, a full-time job and life and this and that, I dedicate and budget time that I'm going to go into the studio and I'm going to work on this, or I'm going to spend this amount of time, this day writing or this day promoting. I don't expect anyone to hand it to me. I definitely work for what I do. And I don't think I would appreciate it. If all of a sudden I was on some show like America's Got Talent or The Voice or something, and just because, somebody liked a performance that I did, and to have, a contract or something handed to me, I don't know if I would appreciate it as much. One of the things that I appreciate even more is that this is my work that I've worked on, self-produced. Most of my own songs I've written myself, minus a couple covers. I work with another co-producer, and we both kind of work on instrumentation at times. And it's a journey. It's definitely not something that's overnight. So anyone that's starting out, write that song, take that time to yourself, go down to a local studio and find out how much it's going to be to book. But if you want to sit on your couch and wait for it to happen, it's not going to do it.
So we got 5 minutes left. And my last two questions are, what does music mean to you? And then where can our listeners find your music? Shameless promotion.
Yeah, absolutely. The marketing portion of the program. So music to me, somebody once said to me that, you want to know the meaning of the universe. And I said, well, yeah, of course. And he said, well, uni in Latin is one and verse is song. So the universe is one song.
Oh, wow. I never thought about that.
Yeah, I loved that. And I was like, that to me is what music is. We are one song, and we all have emotions and things that, good times, bad times, we lie, we laugh, we cry. Things impact us differently, but at the end of the day, we all have these little stories that are part of one greater song, and that's what music means to me. And it's sometimes it can be used towards healing, it can be used towards entertainment. For those that liked the tracks and the music, for Strong, you can get a free download of Strong on my website at www.jasonrylan.rocks. Basically for signing up for our mailing list. But the mailing list, we don't believe in spam or anything like that. So we would just send out periodic music updates. Also, Strong and Stand By Me are both available for pre-order on iTunes and Amazon. They will be released on October 1st, which is the anniversary of the Route 91 harvest tragedy. Other than that, I know that there's tons of distributors, music channels out there. When you distribute, you go through a lot of the major channels, but iTunes and Amazon are probably the best two.
Okay. And we're definitely gonna we're adding your music to our segment Music Mondays. So you'll definitely get spins here and promotions here on Music Mondays, and definitely keep us on what you're doing, shows. We love to have you back to do a follow-up. And the last song that I have of yours queued up is Out Loud. Do you want to give us the story behind this music?
Sure, absolutely. So this is another one that I was toying around with for a while. This is one of them that was on The Charm. So Out Loud is, it's in the community, or at least the LGBT community, a lot of being out, So I really wanted to kind of go into an edgier EDM style and as an entertainer. And and living out loud, and so I wanted to give it an electronic, edgy kind of sound. And really happy with the way it turned out. I mean, it's a little short, but it was definitely my first more EDM song, I guess.
Okay.
Experimenting in that area.
All right, and here we go with we had special guest singer songwriter Vegas's own Jason Rylan here on Deeper Than Music Radio, and thank you for taking the time to come out and sharing your talent and your story behind your great music here on Deeper Than Music Radio.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Anytime. So this is Furious and Jason Rylan signing off on Deeper Than Music Radio.
I think I need it too. I think I gotta have it shiny, blingy new. Let's get crazy, baby. My latest sexy news. Always the entertainment. I'm on to you. Out loud when we touch down, when we light up, baby. This town going out loud when we touch down, when we light up, baby. This town. Let's reinvent it, baby.